Hey everyone, today I'm going to talk about how to deploy your OpenClaw to the cloud. In this specific example, I will be using AWS Cloud, and all the commands, all the instructions would be in the description. And I'll also link you to the GitHub repository, and all the steps would be listed there. Not only I'll be deploying to AWS Cloud, but I'll also be showing you the integration with WhatsApp as well as Google Workspace, which includes Gmail, Google Calendar, Drive, and Maps. But before that, there are some prerequisites that you need to follow. The first and foremost is to have an AWS account. You go to the AWS website, and from there you can register for an AWS account. And the second thing is to have access to a terminal or a CLI, command line interface. And thirdly, you need to create AWS credentials for the AWS CLI, right? So that's also something which I'll link below to set up beforehand. Another thing that you need is a AWS Session Manager Plugin. So that needs to be installed on your machine. I am showing the instructions for Apple Silicon on Mac OS. However, you can see the link that I'm sharing below has instructions for Windows as well as Linux. Now, the first step is you need to go to the GitHub page, GitHub repository, which I'll be linking in the description section. And then you need to go click the CloudFormation template and deploy it in your region of your choice. Now, by this time, you would have logged into your AWS account. You would go to CloudFormation and you would deploy this. I'll show you the exact configurations, what you need to select. And once you do that, you need to wait for a few minutes and you will see that the stack is deployed. So there's an output section of the CloudFormation where you need to copy all the outputs in a text file so that you can access it later on. Now, this deployment will be fully secured. There will be no access from outside world. Of course, you can add security groups or firewalls to be able to access from the internet from your specific IP, but that's not what we need. We want a secure private tunnel between our machine, and that's achievable by SSM. So this is the AWS Session Manager, which creates a tunnel with the EC2, which is our virtual machine running Ubuntu, without opening any ports on the firewall. So that's our use case. We want to keep the machine as secure as possible. Now, to access it, once you install the Session Manager package, you simply need to run this command and you will be able to log into your EC2 instance. Now, since this is Ubuntu and the user is Ubuntu, you can sudo into your Ubuntu user where OpenClaw is already installed for you. Now, before running this command, the SSM command, you need to make sure that you change the instance ID, which you can get it from the EC2 console, as well as specify the right region where you have deployed your OpenClaw stack. Now, once you log in, you then need to integrate it with a specific channel. There are multiple channels supported. We'll show you how WhatsApp integration is possible. You just need to run OpenClaw config. It will ask you where your gateway is running. You need to select local because we don't want to expose it to the external world, external internet. And then you specify what you want to configure. So we are going to configure the channels. You click on channels, and in channels you say configure or link. And then there's so many multiple options available which you can choose from. WhatsApp requires a QR link. So you click on WhatsApp and then follow the instructions to connect your WhatsApp to the agent itself. Now, since our EC2 instance, the virtual machine, is deployed in the cloud and with no access from the internet, we need to still use, if we want to expose any ports which are on our remote EC2 to our laptop, we need to have a secure encrypted tunnel. So that's also achieved by SSM. And this is the command for that. You just need to replace the local port number to what is available on your machine. So since I'm already running the OpenClaw gateway on my machine, so the current port is already utilize. So that's why I'm changing to 28789. For Kiro auth, there's also another port which is needed. We will come to that, how we'll do that, but this port needs to be exposed as well. Now, by this time, you'll have 3 terminal tabs open. One is for the direct SSH connection to your instance, and the 2 other would be just establishing the encrypted tunnel. Then we need to install Kiro. And why do we need to install Kiro? Is to give the coding capabilities to our agent. And not only that, we can do troubleshooting using Kiro CLI on our EC2 instance. If you want to configure something, we can just simply ask Kiro CLI to do that, and I'll show that to you. So the steps are simple. You need to first install it. Then you need to add Kiro CLI to the path and export it to bashrc. And then you start the authentication flow, which is mentioned below. And remember, you can just, if you are on your machine, you can just simply say Kiro-CLI space login. However, since we are running in Ubuntu, which is in a terminal fashion, we need to use device flow. And you follow the steps a little after that. And then you need to copy paste a few links in your own browser. And once you have set up everything, you will be able to ask questions. Then on the EC2 instance, we need to install Homebrew. And before that, we need to set up the sudo password for Ubuntu. And that's done by sudo pass wd Ubuntu. And then once you do that, you need to install Homebrew with this command. And then you need to add Homebrew to your path as well. Now, once everything is ready, you just need to now run OpenClaw dashboard in EC2 instance, this shell interface that you had. There will be a URL that would be generated with the token itself. However, since we changed the port locally from 18789 to 28789, you just need to copy everything from there and then change it to the right port that we have enabled in our encrypted tunnel, and it will open the dashboard for you. Now we need to install GOG CLI. This enables a Google Workspace CLI integration for Gmail, Calendar, Drive, Context Sheets, and so on, and in fact Docs as well. So you need to search, go to in the OpenClaw dashboard, you go to skills and then search for GOG, and then enable or install the skill as we have install all the dependencies, including installation of Brew behind the scenes. Now, by this time, you will have GOG CLI installed. Now we need to do the authentication preparations, right? So the first and foremost step is you go to Google Cloud Console. You need to create a project if you don't have already. Once you have the project created, and in the project, you need to create credentials, OAuth client ID, and the application type would be desktop app. And once you're done with it, you need to set app status to publish under the audience tab. And of course, when you're creating the OAuth client credentials, you would download the JSON file in your local directory and then create a config.json in EC2, and that you can put it in your home directory. Now then you need to run GOG auth credentials and point to that config.json that has secrets. So keyring security is enabled by default. However, it requires a keyring password to securely store the tokens. You need to add this to your bashrc. Make sure that you replace the password with your own secure password. And once you are ready, then you just simply need to run GOG space auth add, and then your email address, add -- manual to it. So this command actually would give you a URL. Now there are a few steps you need to do. You copy the URL, you paste it in your local browser, you accept permissions and then allow permissions, and then it will generate a new URL for you. You need to copy that URL and come back to the EC2 instance, and then put that. It will automatically extract the auth code from it, and you would get authenticated. Now, the next step is to have the GOG_account your specific email address in the bashrc as well, so that it's available as your environment variable. And once that is done, just make sure the GOG skill is ready, right? So you need to grep for that skill, as well as you can run GOG Gmail labels list and then calendars as well. Now, the first time when you run GOG Gmail labels list, it would error out because you need to add the Gmail API scope as well under your project. And the same goes for calendar and other Google services. And don't forget to put the GOG account and the keyring password as part of your OpenClaw environment. And this is the path for this where you need to store it because without this, the agent will not be able to authenticate itself. Now, the end-to-end is if you want to connect to it, you'll use the encrypted tunnel. And at the same time, if you want to run any commands or interact with you, you'll use WhatsApp. And behind the scenes, while GOG CLI is connected to GCP or the Google Workspaces, including Gmail, Calendar, and all these Google services. All right, so this is my GitHub repository that you can see where there is single-click deployment that you can start with. But before that, I would like you to go to the EC2 console. Under here on the left side, you need to find the key pairs. I already created a key pair, but I want you to create something, give it a name, right? And then you specify, for example, you say OpenClaw temp, right? So I just give it any name and then create a key pair. It'll ask you to download it. Make sure that you download. I'm not going to download it because I already have one. Of course, I'll delete this as well, right? But this is step number one. Once you have that, then you can select which region you want to deploy this solution to. I'll be using EU Ireland. I'll just copy the link and I'll open a new tab. I'll just say duplicate tab. That's also one option, and then paste it. Now, since you already logged into your AWS console, it would automatically open the CloudFormation. Now, just give it any name here. Select the model of your choice, right? So you can choose between Anthropic, Nova, right? So all these are the different models that are available. For Claude models, you need to have them enabled in Bedrock. But let's start with the Nova 2 line and we can later on change this. In fact, I'll change it to Open Router, which I really like. In instance type, don't use the default one. It's a bit expensive. So just select the smallest one for a use case that's good. Key pair, you can select any of the one that you created. And the network configuration, if you choose VPC endpoints, so all the interactions with Bedrock would be via this endpoint. However, it's fine. We'll not choose this because this is just the internal communication, and this would be done via the internet, but it would be, of course, encrypted. And if you want to access it from your machine, from your IP address, you can specify your IP address here. However, this would then still open the EC2 instance to the internet, which I don't want. I want to completely block this from the internet. So this is this is just to disable the SSH altogether via the security groups. And of course, we want to keep the sandbox just maximum security, I would say. And then you just accept, acknowledge this, and then create it. I'll pause the video because it will take a few minutes to complete. And once that is done, we can continue later on. So now you can see the EC2 instance is creating in progress. So once this is done, despite the fact if the stack is not completely successful or created, we can still work with our EC2 instance, and we do have something to set up. So now it has been completed. So we need to copy under the resources. Finally, you'll have everything under the outputs, but to begin with, you need to copy this instance ID from under the resources. Just keep it safe. We'll have some commands just to go over. Now, before that, I do have wanted to show you something. You need to install the Session Manager plugin for Mac OS. So this is very important because we have not enabled any ports on our firewall, so nothing can access our machine from the internet. However, using Session Manager plugin, we can create an encrypted tunnel with the instance itself. So that's what we are going to do. You just need to follow these steps. So let's do that alongside. So I'm using Mac with Apple Silicon, so that's why I'm using it. Depending on what machine you're using, you can select it from here. So I'm gonna paste that exactly, and then come back. We have the second command. I'll copy it and then come here. As soon as this is done, we can run that as well. I've already installed it. I just want to show you what the steps would look like, and so that you can follow along. Right. So right now we are on our local machine. I've not logged in yet, right? So now that we have installed the Session Manager, the next step would be to connect to it, right? So let's do that as well. So to do that, we first need to understand what the instance AID is. So we copy, you just come here, you copy the instance ID, right? And then the command for this is AWS SSM, and here we go, right? So this is the command, but we need to replace the instance ID to the one that we have created right now, right? So, and then specify the right region as well. So when you do that, it is now connected. So now we are connected to our EC2 instance. However, this is using a different user for SSM. So we need to switch to Ubuntu, right? So now we are using Ubuntu, right? And then if we run OpenClaw by this time, if the CloudFormation template has been successfully completed, you would be able to see it. I think it is able to identify it, right? So it's automatically deploying OpenClaw, installing OpenClaw for you. So now that we have the OpenClaw installed, we can just say OpenClaw onboard, right? So this actually goes through the onboarding process, and we'll go through and select a few things to begin with. So you just accept the security risk, of course, and then select the quick start. And in here, you can, it automatically configure a few things, but let's update the values. So instead of the NOAA model, we can select other models as well. So for example, if I want to go with Open Router, so let's go there. I need the API key for it, and I need to create one then. Already had one, but let's create another one. OpenClaw temp, right? So let's create temp one, and I'll copy this, go back, and then paste that API key. Now the model, it automatically selects the auto. For me, auto doesn't work. So what I do is that once this is done, I go here and I go back to the main, right? And then click on models. Here, there's so many models available. And the best one, of course, Opus, right? Here, like 4.5, 4.6, the multiple options available. So we can, for example, start with the Opus 4.6. And you just need to copy this, and then you go back to your terminal. Here you need to start with Open Router and then / and then paste whatever you copied from there. So now it will choose Opus 4.6 as the default model. If you would like to have Grok, for example, based on my previous video, which was the cheapest, providing the best price performance. So if you want to use that, you copy it and you paste it Grok over there. Okay, I think, yeah, let's try with Grok because that's the cheapest. I don't want to burn through my credits, right? So if you, so you need to go delete everything until you have Open Router and then paste this, right? And now this has been set up. The next step is to set up WhatsApp, right? So to set up WhatsApp, you click, enter this, then it will show you a QR code, right? So what you need to do is, give me a second. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to go to your WhatsApp and under settings, under devices, and click on link device. Now you need to scan this whole thing. Yeah. So just give it any names. I have added it, and if you scroll down, it automatically linked it. It has successfully authenticated, but now I want to give my WhatsApp number, which I will communicate with this WhatsApp. So I have two numbers there. So this would be that. Right. So if I give it that, and after that, now it's actually stored it. The next step is to configure the skills. So let's do that. It's saying it requires homebrew. So let's say, yeah. So we need to install it like, right. So this by default would not be run. So we open a new tab, repeat the same command. We're not doing SSH, right? So we just do Ubuntu and just run this command. The correct command. Okay, so we need to have the sudo password, right? But you sudo to you specify password. Okay, and now you run the same command so that you can. All right, so then run this. Now you can see it's installing homebrew for us. I'll pause it and then I'll come back once it's done completely. All right, so the homebrew installation has been successfully done. However, we need to add it to our path. So this would be the bashrc, have this whole thing and push that to the bashrc. Okay, and then we can just source the bashrc again, and then if you type brew, we have brew in our path. Now the next step is what would be the preferred node manager? It's npm, and then from here you specify what you need, right? So for example, we need a GOG, so let's do that. I'll press enter. So now it's automatically now installing GOG for me. This will help us to send emails, complete integration with Google Workspace. Now, if you want Google Places API, right now I don't need it, but it's when you ask, okay, what are the cafes around me, the things like that, right? So right now I'm skipping this, a Gemini key for creating images. I'm skipping this. If you want integration with Notion, OpenAPI, and then 11 labs, right? So everything we don't need apart from the GOG. And once this is done, we can just say restart. Now it's actually restarting the gateway. So as soon as this is done, we would be able to interact with our agent, right? So now we just say TUI. Okay, perfect. So now who am I supposed to be and who's this friend pinging me? You are Alpha and I am Omega, right? So I mean, just interact with this so that it knows your personality and its personality. But this actually remembers all the conversations that are happening, right? Okay, so Alpha, right? So to activate it. Cool. So what we can now do, the next step would be to configure the GOG. Can you configure GOG skill? Okay. Now, as we initially pointed out, we are using the open router, right? So we're just asking this to configure the GOG skill, right? So the skill is already installed. However, we need to get ourselves authenticated. Cool. So that now actually giving us some steps, right? So we need to go to the Google Cloud, and I've already logged in. Now the first thing is you need to create a project, right? So right now I don't have a project. I have a previous one, but let's create a new one. So OpenClaw temp 2, and you just say create. Now this is actually creating our project, right? So we can, once it's created, we can go to that. And now I'm inside the OpenClaw 2 temp. Before doing anything, we need to have the consent screen set up. We just go to get started. give the app the name OpenClaw app, right? My email address, and then you say it's external, internal or external. It's external. Specify your email, and then you click on finish create. Cool. So now you have the consent screen created. Now we need to create OAuth clients. And this would be your desktop application. You can name it OpenClaw app, anything that you wish. You create that. Now you need to download this JSON, and it would be downloaded into your local file. So I'll open it and then I'll copy the credentials. So I have copied the credentials already. Now I need to go back to this window. So what I'll do is I'll open and create config. Let's see what's this saying. We did this. So now download client_secret.json, and we simply need to upload it at this path, right? So I need to first create this. So you just say vi and this path, and you go back, and then whatever you downloaded, you can open that, the JSON file, and then paste the contents over here. Press I, you paste it, and then you escape, and then you WQ. That would actually save it, right? So now we have done that step. Of course, we need to run this as well. Okay. Cool. And then we need to do this. Right. So this is an important step. So we need to do this auth flow, right? So the auth flow is a bit tricky because we cannot open any browser from our Ubuntu. To be able to do that, we need to do another way of doing it. So we just do first specify your correct email, and then you say manual, right? So this would have the same steps, but it will give you URLs. Now you copy this whole thing and open the browser again, new tab, and then paste everything. Now before clicking on anything, I want you to right click and then inspect for Google, and you need to go select the developer tools. So in the console, you need to open this. There's one glitch, which I'll tell you later. So just click on your name. You see, okay, so now this has not been, because the verification is not complete. It's always, I forget this step. You go back to your GCP and then click on audience, and here click on publish. This needs to be published before doing anything, right? So let's paste it, the link again. I hope it works. Yeah, this, your name, this is fine. You'll see it. Go to advanced and open this unsafe, right? And then you click on continue, and then you select all the permissions you're giving, and then continue again. I'll get this long link, which would be in the console, not here, because this still is working on something. It took me some time to figure this out, but this is how you do it. And you go back and then paste the same link here. However, it's asking for a passphrase. What we are going to do is a few things, right? So one is we can just have it in the bashrc. So this would be the environment, in the environment variable we're storing it. The second thing is we then run the same thing again, all right, with the manual process, right? So we just copy everything, go back to our page, paste it, and the same console, you need to keep it open. Advanced, go, you select all, continue, And now you have this link. You copy this. It's pretty straightforward. And you paste it. Now it did not ask the path because we already have set environment variable for ourselves. Now, one thing which I normally would do is go to a dot on your home path, OpenClaw, and then create an environment file. So this would contain the environment variables for us. And then you copy these two things, right? So one is your email. That's your email address. Oops. And the password that you've set there in the, so that's OpenClaw at 123, right? So this is something that you would set whatever suits you, right? So now it's also in the environment file. Now I'll ask this to check again. Check again. I have completed the auth, right? All right, so okay, so we don't need to restart the gateway. It's just saying it's a configured account and everything works. Now, if you want to enable Gmail API, we need to go to this link. Let's go there because every API needs to be enabled now. Okay, you can simply now close this console. So now it's actually okay. So we need to make sure that the project is correct, and you just enable it. Go back again, and we can enable a calendar as well. Okay. Cool. So now both are successful. Now we can just say, can you send an email to test it's just a test email. Okay, so I have the email available. Configure test email sent on this, right? So this is actually working. Cool. So this ends the demo. And now, of course, if you have any skill that you want to add, you can just simply ask the agent itself, and it can then set it up for you. If it needs help from a human, from you, then it will actually ask you to help out. And that's the whole flow. Private, secure, useful AI in the cloud, control from WhatsApp. Everything you need is linked below: a repository, commands, troubleshooting nodes. Try it out, play around, break it if you want. It's yours. If you get stuck or want to add more skills, comment below. I'll reply. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Hit like if this helps. Subscribe if you want more cloud AI stuff. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care.